live,
You gotta put that work in, man. You gotta go get
learn,
it. See, listen, this is what I tell them.
serve,
I've been grinding for so long, I wake up and chase my goals. I go
inspire.
out and I go get it. How to go,
You're in the
that's
right
all I know.
place.
I don't
You're
succeed
checking
and I
out
don't breathe.
Chip
Success,
Baker,
what does it
the
mean?
Success
If I
Chronicles.
conquer all my goals, then I'm living out my dream. Dig deep, go out and get it. Success Chronicles. Compete until it's finished. Success Chronicles.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Chip Baker coming to you with another episode of the Success Chronicles. And today we have Mr. Bernard Bergan with us. And so an amazing story, military, IT, done a lot of great things. And so let's just dig right into it. So if you could, please tell us, your life story, where, you're born, grew up,
Yeah.
Up until currently.
Okay. And I'll press fast forward on it.
Okay.
So 80s baby, born in the United States Virgin Islands, St. Croix to be exact. Shout out to my grandma and my aunts and uncles who are still there. So what I immediately learned growing up in an island, the island is predominantly black. So I learned a deep belief that, people from my community can be the governor, can be the chief of police, can be all the high officials. I had uncles and godfathers who were like school principals. So achievement and success was never a block for me. It was always like, if you want to do it, you go do it, So very different culture change from when we moved to Virginia. But something else that also I learned while growing up on the island is that hurricane season is a real season, so we actually lost a home during my childhood where everything was lost. And that was the first time I ever saw my mom cry. And when she was interviewed about losing everything, she was like, I wasn't crying because we lost stuff. She was like, stuff I can replace, but I lost my baby pictures. It's 5 of us, 5 boys. And she was like, I can't get these pictures back. And, even recently I sent her a picture that I had kept. And, she was overjoyed to have that back in her, toolkit because, back then we didn't have digital storage, so
Right.
Those albums were everything. We moved to Virginia when I was in high school. So I finished up high school in Virginia, and then I went to Old Dominion University. And that's where I met my wife. So the best thing about university for me was meeting my wife of 14 years, Latasha. Then, it came that conscious decision because all my brothers served in the military. My dad served in the military as well. And it was like, I was nervous, like you say military, you're thinking war, you're thinking I could die, and that's the predominant thought.
Right.
But I knew the duty and even the family legacy mattered more than that individual choice. So I just made the decision. My wife and I walked into the recruiter's office, and the recruiter was like, he's like, I've been a recruiter for 10 years and I've never seen a husband and wife walk in my door ever, and I was like, well, we decided to do life together. So this is how we do life. Fast forward, I ended up attached to a special operations unit, 1st Special Forces Group, 3rd Battalion. Amazing experience. But again, that was not on my game plan. Jumping out of airplanes, deploying the track terrorist cells, definitely not on my game plan. Years later, when I would be conversating with my brothers around a game of dominoes, and they were like, where have you been? I was like, I'm attached to a special ops unit. They take me all over the world. And it was like, well, we're in the reserves. Why didn't you join the reserves? I was like, I didn't know. Like y'all didn't tell me. Y'all said serve, so I served. But I wouldn't be where I'm at today I was able to transition from the military to a career in IT with Microsoft. So, everything definitely was a blessing. Not saying there weren't hardships along the way. Something I always say and believe is that if you go to war gets into you. So there's this time of healing, this time of getting back to a place of peace that you need to get back to. But I've had great mentors around me, people who would speak into my life and challenge my thinking, and just people to encourage me in those moments where I felt a little bit down or defeated. So no complaints to my life journey. I believe that if we all just keep moving forward or failing forward, we'll get to where we need to be, Chip.
I like the way you say that, failing forward, because every opportunity that you feel that you may feel as a failure, really, you have the right perspective and look at it the proper lenses. It's an opportunity for improvement, where you learn.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, like the quote, the most successful people are the ones that have failed the most.
There it is.
There
it is.
So, I can probably, I can probably agree with some of that too.
Oh yeah.
What are 3 things you've accomplished in your life that you're proud of?
Man, what I would say just right off the bat, Chip, is not just getting married, but staying married and staying in a marriage that allows me to grow and be challenged. My wife is an incredible woman. Like even right now, she's pursuing her MBA. So even if I wanted to sit on my duff, as soon as she wraps up, I got to go do the same. Because that's just the challenge and the push in our lives, and also, at times we don't highlight the beauty of marriage as it matures. Like you started out not knowing someone, and as you mature, you realize that this person knows you, not the surface stuff.
Yeah, like
they hear you snore, Chip. They hear you snore. So you have this real perspective of who you are behind the scenes, because at times people only see our surface. So having long-term relationships, especially a marriage, something that close, has been, I'd say, one of the crown jewels in my life, just because it keeps me honest, it keeps me grounded, and it keeps me seeing a future where, yes, I do have to earn it. I would say, having had the privilege to serve our country, I think, without having served, there's so much I would not have known about the world. The American military actually goes to places in the world that most human beings will never get to visit. Sharing this with someone, one of those missions took me to the small island in the Philippines. And on that island, very great people, but different faith, different way of life.
Right.
But the one thing you would always notice is the work ethic. Like I remember this young boy, and he had to be between 5 and 8, Chip. And every morning we would go on these training runs. So we'd be running through the jungles of the Philippines, and there was this dam with like a 70-degree angle. And if we were on pace, we would see him walking down the dam with this big sack of coal to go sell and trade for a bag of rice. And if we got to the top of the mountain and turned around in time, we'd see him walking back up the mountain with that bag of rice, like every day. So when you see that and you realize that we grew up in America with so much privilege and you have so much opportunity, it just takes the excuses out of your lungs. Yeah. Like between 5 and 8, I didn't have to walk down a mountain and trade my coal for some rice every day. So, I'm just humbled to have had the opportunity to serve, to see some hard things, to do some hard things, and also gain that perspective that only comes from that. And then lastly, I'd say, my journey to IT and being able to showcase to veteran leaders and service members that we can continue to serve beyond the uniform. I think that is something that's really been a highlight of my recent life, just having those conversations. Even today, someone called me and said, Bernard, I listened to one of your podcasts and here's how you affected and impacted my life. And at times you don't get enough feedback, even with you and the Success Chronicles.
Right.
You're not getting all the feedback, but there are people who are tuning in because they need what you're sharing, and they need the life lessons and principles that each episode unveils. And I think when you do get to hear that feedback, one of my mentors who's in the media space said, you always multiply it by 10. They're speaking for 10 people who didn't speak up. So I was really appreciative of that feedback.
It's funny you said that. I was interviewing someone a couple of weeks ago, and he's one of my former players, and he's a personal trainer and does a lot of motivational things as well. So I mean, he's a really great guy.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the Chronicles, and then he was just saying the Chronicles is really it's a tool that you can use to put in your toolbox.
Yeah.
And it blew me away. I was like, wow, really, like, I mean, you want to inspire, you want to motivate and do those things, but I never really looked at it like that. It's like, man, that's deep.
Yeah. Yeah. This is the modern training manual. And then you have to remember your 19 plus years of teaching and coaching. We get to listen to you and learn all of this wisdom. And some of us, even some of your players, they haven't even made it to 19.
That's right. Well, what's your definition of success?
Well, for me, and I humbly share this, success for me is not a moving target. It's living my core values and living my principles. I was able to embody the core values of the Army. I served in the Army: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. And every day I live to the exact measure of those core values that I believe in. Like within that value system, those acronyms spell leadership. And the middle word is, if you count them out, is selfless service. And that was the Army value I struggled with the most. That's the jumping on the grenade. That's laying down your life. And Chip, that was hard for me. You know what I'm saying?
He's like, no, it's real. It's real bombs and bullets.
It's real. It's real. But as I served and as I watched people make that ultimate sacrifice, it hit me that our country, even the opportunities that I currently have, would never be on the table had people not done that for me. So I try to live my core values every single day, and that brings the success over time. And I used to be one of those who needed my success to come fast. I think it was a byproduct of, just community and cultural upbringings where people are rushing their life. And then it was the service, it was the stretch, it was deepening my core values that showcased to me that, if I can live an amazing life, stick to my core values, stick to my principles, and then plan to live a long life, then I will see all the external measures of success. But ultimately, they're only going to follow my internal compass, my internal measures of success, Chip.
That's pretty good stuff. What do you think it takes to achieve success?
So I'm going to throw this out there, and I know it's not popular for a lot of people, but I think if they understand some of these small ideas, that they could challenge the thinking. And I love when people challenge the information. So don't blast Chip on this one. Blast me. I was studying two amazing women, Venus and Serena Williams, and, one has went on to just change and redefine what the game is, and even who people play the game looks like. Very similar upbringing, very similar training. But when we start stacking the accomplishments, someone starts to pull away for a strong, healthy lead. So I started asking myself, what is the difference in their lives? What is the difference in their lives? And the only thing I could come up with, Chip, was one had a life coach and one didn't. Like, they both can play tennis at a high level.
Yes.
Come on. They have access to the best tennis trainers in the world, the best tennis courts in the world.
Right.
I was like, what's the difference? One has, dominated the sport for a long time. They sisters. They have a lot in common.
Right.
But the separation was one had a life coach, and it hit me that if you master your life as the foundation, you can build anything else on top of it. And anyone that I deeply admire, when I look into their training and their practice, I was on an accountability call, and one of the gentlemen doing the training, he showed a video of Michael Jordan's practice routines. And one of Michael Jordan's coaches, they would be playing pickup basketball for practice. And when Michael Jordan's team would be up, he would switch Michael Jordan from the winning team to the losing team. So he could feel the pressure and adversity of what a game could feel like every practice. And he would do this to Michael Jordan every practice. So then when Michael Jordan was doing the interview, he said, so when I got in games and we were down, it was nothing. I was used to doing this in practice because every time he would put me on the losing team, we would win. Yeah, it would take more effort, more work, but we would win. So when I study the habits and the behind the scenes stuff, again, it comes down to coaching. A coach put him in that position. Yeah, did he have that inner Michael Jordan? Yeah, but there were still some things coached out of him. So I believe, coaching is one of those hidden, secrets to deep success. And if you can be coached, if you can be coachable, teachable, and truly apply what you're being taught, even when it's uncomfortable, I really believe you can achieve high levels of success.
Man, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. What are, you think about the things that you've been blessed to do and achieve, and it, those things just don't happen. It comes with hard work and having a wonderful people around you to show you the way with family and life and those kind of things. What are some things that you've been blessed to see some pretty neat people achieve some things, but then also now you're one of those people as well. You're one of those pretty neat people that have achieved some things. What are some of the things that you saw those people do to achieve their success? That you just were able to watch.
Man, and I love that you asked this question. One of my mentors, he would always say, you want to do what I do, but you don't do what I do. And at first, again, I was like, look, you might have to use third grade language for me because that was like super deep and super over my head. But as I started to just humbly pay attention, what he was saying was, you only like what you see, what I do from the stage, or you like the paycheck, but you don't see all the service behind the scenes. And as I started to spend more time with him, you would see him do the small things, like clean the bathroom behind people at a church event. You know what I'm saying? You like, Pastor, you're supposed to be cleaning the toilets?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he'd be offended when I say that. He'd say, Bernard, the greatest among you will be the servant of all. And it hit me like, ain't no more serving everybody than cleaning the toilets after church. It's just like you really serving everybody at that point, And I mean, multimillionaire, like doing well for himself. And him and his wife after church cleaning the toilets.
Yeah.
Big. I mean, like, nobody tells you this stuff. But, in my book of faith, it says the greatest among you will be the servant of all. And we want to be great and we don't want to serve. I was sharing with people, like, no one ever thanked me in the military for my leadership. They thanked me for my service. So many of us, we want the pinnacles of success, and we'll never get there because it comes through service, Chip.
That's it. That's the motto of the Success Chronicles: live, learn, serve, inspire, go get it.
Oh, come on. Come on.
And that's what it is. So thank you so much for taking the time of the interview with the Success Chronicles. Just pray that, things that continue to go great for you, as I know they will. And thank you guys for watching this episode of the Success Chronicles. We'll see you next time. God bless.
Take care.
Go get it.